I'm Kori Propst. Welcome back to the Diet Doc Life Mastery Podcast. I'm here with Dr. Joe Klemczewski. Science or fiction today? We're talking water consumption. Joe?
It's one of those questions.
How much water?
As soon as you give somebody their nutrition programming, you think you've covered all your bases. These little questions, nuances just trickle in. Hey, what kind of vitamin should I take? How much water should I drink? And just and so, I thought it'd be a good idea to throw at least a little bit of content out here in a formal way so people might learn something.
Yeah, I think that's great. It is a question that comes up over and over for me. And it's even something personally that you would think that it would be a simple, easy change. As long as I've been doing this, I have to find ways to remind myself to drink water. So while it may be simple, it's maybe a little bit more complex and a little bit different for all of us in terms of our needs. And so
yeah, I thought of a couple different things that people would be curious about. Number one, we'll just get out of the way what the recommended amount is. So I'm gonna throw this softball at you, Kori, see if you can hit it. How much water, if you could think of any health agency, any science organization would say this is how much water we should be drinking, what would you guess it to be?
Well, I've heard two different things. 8-ounce glasses. And then I've heard half of your body weight in water. That's quite different than the 64 ounces of water, because I mean, for me, that would be easily doable, but for someone who weighs quite a bit and is inactive, that could maybe be a little too much.
That's interesting, because that is more. I just did the math in my head. And so you're right. What people constantly regurgitate is 8 ounces, eight times a day. And interestingly, there really is no consensus. The CDC and organizations like that don't have any recommendations that are formal, but there are some older ones all the way back into the early 1900s. The Food and Nutrition Board came out and said, we should drink 84 ounces of water. And then some other people came out and said, well, it should be 90. And it's just kind of all right in that, just around half a gallon or more. So anywhere from 64 ounces, which is the 8 times 8 rule, upward. But really, I don't think anybody comes close to that. I mean, I know you do. You're somebody who just guzzles water all day long. But the average general population person probably does not fill up 8 glasses of water a day and drink just water.
I agree.
Doesn't happen.
Totally. Yeah. And if we're not pairing it with something, like, because a lot of times I'll tell my clients, have 8 ounces of water with every meal. Then at least you've got at least 3. Right? 3 8-ounce glasses, and then maybe 1 in between.
Yeah. And because, we just did a podcast on artificial sweeteners, and because I consider that still sketchy, like I don't know, I do know something that is an artificial chemical. I'm just not going to say it's unlimited. I can have whatever I want. So I do treat that with caution. And so I constantly have a liter of water with me all day long. And if I have anything else to sip on, I'm always going to instantly, by habit and reflex, grab my water first, drink 2 or 3, swallows of water before I take a little sip of that, whatever I have for flavor.
That's actually one of my strategies too, Joe.
Yeah, I'm forcing myself to drink some water. And I even have a couple little rules, like, I will drink an entire 32 ounces of water before I train. So I take my pre-workout supplements about 30 to 45 minutes ahead. And so I start that clock. And then I have another one of those during. So there's half a gallon just, before and during my workout. I also have another one, which is before I get to my workout. I want to have had, because I have a 32-ounce thing of water. Actually, matter of fact, I have it right here. So I drink one of these, leading up to my workout. So by the time I get home in the evening, I've had a minimum of 3/4 of a gallon. And so that is just a habit for me. But there were some interesting things I found in health value. I didn't know if you knew of research actually conducted on this, but when you are less hydrated, you have less cognitive ability. Your brain just does not work. People who drink less water have higher instances of cancer, higher instances of infection, decreased wound healing. So these things make sense, right? I mean, our cells, our plasma, everything in our body is 70 to 97% water. And so if we don't have enough hydration, even down to that cellular level, there's just not going to be optimum cellular metabolism, which means waste product removal. All kinds of metabolic processes depend on hydration to be optimal. So that led me to the direct question. Cellular metabolism is the most major component of actual collective metabolism, basal metabolic rate. And so if you drink more water, Kori Propst, PhD, do you actually lose body fat faster or more easily? I'm asking you.
On a cellular level?
Just your body weight. Just will you actually lose body fat faster
if you're drinking more water? I would say yes.
Yes, you do. That's the truth. So, and they divide it into a couple different ways. First of all, some studies show that the old trick of drinking a glass of water before meals.
Yeah. Some
people oddly think, that's going to decrease digestion because it dilutes your.
Yes, I've heard that too.
Yeah, all those hokey things.
Yes.
But in fact, the average person eats about 75 calories fewer at those meals. So if you
That's a big deal.
Dude, over the course of a year,
200 calories a day.
Over the course of a year, it's 40 freaking pounds.
Yeah, wow.
Just because you drink a glass of water before each meal.
You feel a sense of fullness.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I've noticed that in my own daily nutrition. When I am I'm like, I'm done. I am done a lot faster with food. And I don't experience as much hunger if I'm as hydrated. And to your point about cognition and just clarity and focus, absolutely. I am so much less fatigued when I'm when I'm hydrated.
Yeah, and even just directly related to lipolysis, for lipolysis to function optimally, just like any form of cellular metabolic process, it just happens faster, easier. So you absolutely 100% directly lose body fat more efficiently if you're more hydrated. So, just another reason just to at least monitor how much you're doing per day. And even though I don't have any exact rules I give clients, I just gave you at least my habits to show you that it's something that I've settled in my mind as a health factor. And so I just do it. It's just part of the routine and I do it. And I'm sure I'm not perfect every day, but it's something I come back to.
Well, and I'd imagine too, based on your activity levels, how much you're sweating and moving, and the type of diet that you're eating, I would imagine too, like if you're eating a very high protein diet, more water would probably be advised. But yeah, I have a lot of clients who they track their water because they know it's important and they need to see that little Post-it note in front of them where they can track off how many bottles that they've gotten. Otherwise, they go throughout the entire day and not have any because they're not thinking about it.
And it's absolutely appetite suppressing. I mean, not just the fact or the act of consuming it right before a meal, but overall, the more hydrated you are throughout the day, you have fewer hunger signals being stimulated to your central nervous system all day long. So that's another thing that if you're looking at those little percentages of how to make dieting easier, how to get that little edge, how to prevent hunger, like this is a major one, just to stay hydrated throughout the day, every day.
Get a fun bottle, guys, that you want to carry around and keep filling up. It makes a huge difference.
So when I was thinking about this topic, I thought, okay, people also ask, what about safety? I mean, should I get spring water?
What kind of water? Okay.
Reverse osmosis? Should I get this? Should I get that? Everybody has these different things. And My initial answer was, come on, man, just tap water is fine. We've got so much data on the fact that we use all these different home filtration systems, and they just get gummed up with bacteria and crud. And bottled water has been tested at having higher solute and bacteria content than tap water. And so I was all set to say that, because I do. I just right out of the sink. Even in hotels, I'm just right out of the sink.
Probably drinking a lot of glyphosate, actually.
Well, guess what I found out?
What did you find out?
15% of our water supply in the U.S. is contaminated to an alarming level. There are more than 80,000 violations a year. And the EPA is supposed to be testing this, but our current administration has decided we don't need the EPA, and we'll just let capitalism take over. We don't need to protect anybody and have organizations follow rules. But it's a pretty high amount. I mean, we know the Flint, Michigan water thing was just awful. But just, even though you would think your own local municipality is going to be testing your water all day long, I envision alarms and whistles going off if a level reaches, so high. That it's just not true, especially in rural areas. The most contaminated water supplies are in rural areas where they just don't have that kind of manpower or technology. So I'm a little bit more worried than I was before I started researching this podcast, but I don't know. I'm okay so far, but
that's a difficult topic. When I think about just how much non-organic farming is going on and the amount of Roundup, glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup, is leaching into all of the soil. I mean, it's in the rainwater now. They've tested the rainwater. We can't get away from it. So if we are drinking from taps, we're drinking a poison.
So,
go ahead.
Well, Evansville is right on the Ohio River. And our drinking supply comes from the Ohio River, and it gets treated that way. Well, in Louisville, there was a barge that sunk and dumped hundreds of tons of coal in the river. And they said, over the next several months, you're going to see toxic levels of lead and arsenic and mercury in that water. And then I never heard anything else. So, I mean, I'm probably drinking all of that right now. But just a simple carbon filter, something that you can get, like the Zero and Brita filters and all that, can remove almost all of those kinds of heavy metals. I think up to 70 to 75%. And then a reverse osmosis membrane, typically gets the rest. But as I said, if you don't clean those housing units, change those filters, I've even seen people do with a simple Brita filter. They just keep pouring water in there. They never scrub or bleach the thing out and let it air dry completely. And
they have dates. They have a little sticker that says change it on this date.
Well, I'm not even talking about changing the filter. I'm talking about actually scrubbing and sterilizing the pitcher itself, because that stuff's just growing bacteria and potentially algae and stuff like that, microscopically.
Do you know anything, Joe, about the filters that most refrigerators have now? Those water filters, is that the same thing?
Well, in that case, just like a city water supply, it's going through pipes, right? And you don't get a chance to clean those. So you just have to hope that it's okay. And again, evolution is evolution. I mean, wherever you live, your body's probably, becoming adapted and accustomed to that. But, changing that actual filter, at least you're typically replacing the whole filter. You've got the incoming and outgoing water supply, and you are changing the whole thing. So it's more the under the sink kind of housing units, all the plastic things that, you're changing these things, and you're getting bacteria from your hands in there, putting the new filter in. And that's where you run into trouble, because now you've just created a petri dish of potential bacteria. So, I mean, those are things I don't want to talk all about.
A whole nother topic,
sterile technique for this, but it is a reason to be concerned, maybe get a home testing kit for your own tap water. But we're talking more about hydration and staying hydrated.
Right,
but
right.
I definitely at least wanted to mention this so we're not just saying drink more poison.
Well, okay, so off of the poison aspect of this, real quick, we can overhydrate. I don't know that that's a real risk for most people, more so I think for probably elite athletes, but we can overhydrate and it can be quite dangerous.
I had a client just last year who absolutely on a typical day would drink 4 to 5 gallons a day. And,
oh my goodness. How?
And I said, look, you don't need to. And he said, well, I just want to, like, I'm just thirsty. And to your point, you are leaching minerals out of your body. You're diluting plasma. You're doing things. I mean, they're in stress to your kidneys.
How was his heart? Like, was his heart beating?
There is a hypernatremia aspect, and yeah, you're leaching even potassium, but that could affect something like that. Alarm. That means it's time to go. No, that was the alarm on my new water filtration system.
Oh, very nice.
I'm totally joking.
Saying you're dying.
But yeah, I mean, hypernatremia is a real thing, but like you said, I doubt many people go there. But don't feel like you have to consume 2 gallons or more. I mean,
that's a lot.
Quite literally, 1/2 to 1 gallon a day, up to 4 liters is absolutely plenty. You mentioned earlier that circumstances change. If it's in the summer, you're training outside, you're working outside, you absolutely probably need more. If you do consume a lot of water or you sweat a lot, I would definitely recommend some kind of mineral base. That's one thing about spring water or water that if you completely filter everything out all the time, you are filtering out all of those minerals. You're filtering out even the fluoride that's put in our water for better improved health. So now you're at risk of your kids, not having strong enough enamel. All of a sudden, in those situations, dentists are seeing enamel erosion go through the roof because everybody's filtering out even that fluoride. So there are some other things to consider, but hydration is definitely something that you should keep as an optimal priority.
Super, Joe. Well, thank you for all this information today. Very helpful.
All right. And likewise to you, Kori. And for all you guys watching and listening, thank you. And we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys.